Hello, America and nations, simultaneously, distinctly, and non distinctly, by and as the value that will heal us all simultaneously. Now, we have DACA involved as all victims, in other words, markets, positions, values tied to the sensibilities of humanity. Before that, while being that, the identity of the ground, in other words, we have racketeering with each age of campus using methods now today that they wouldn't be using if they hadn't used them in the past. Methods like when they hear me say that, they're pretending just it's racketeering that's just regular, because if you're undercover and in other words legally, that's your job to be undercover. A whole bunch of nations group sick, suits and ties sick. If you're grouped like that, all reliant upon types of experts thinking for you, and you commit you're a part of perjury racketeering roles and acts, and you're pretending other that they don't have the right to do that, but they're using that. It's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how they are motivated to it. It's got a whole bunch of ties to it and names tied to downtown Hartford locations, especially right around Fox Connecticut News. Their roles with actors, and things like that, with a whole bunch of people from CCSU and other campuses. Every campus I went through 2 times tied to racketeering acts and rolls with that as criminal insidious nature. In other words, they're forcing it. They force the leaders of the schools to ignore from off-campus former director of the FBI down. Overt criminal enterprises, private ones recorded in collusion, a whole bunch of nations recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with criminality, with news bodies and with the briefing and debriefing of them. They have the communications department, other departments of Central Connecticut University, also distinctly and non-distinctly involved with racketeering, with a whole bunch of people from New Britain Superior Court through time. Sequence shifts too. Starts the fights before, pretend I'm in locations I never was. Pretend kids are in locations they never were, intercities, and worse than interstates. People associated with the policing of the stores with this. A Kerr family, a DeMoro family. Now these are names. These are names. Things. These are also men and women involved as victim predators because they were already attached consciously or unconsciously. I mean, knowingly or not unknowingly, because we have former director of the FBI down, Wethersfield Police Chief down, retired and standing detectives in police forms, foreign and domestic, military, foreign and domestic, with predicate acts in my area. So now they need to hide lies. Predicate acts rolls with evidences, mail crimes, wire crime methods. Also involved with the uses of AT&T through time with the same actors. They maintain criminal foreign influence states areas. People, nations in collusion with people that they fight against or hate or whatever, because they're incapable of understanding. In other words, the logistics on the ground were never sophistication. This breaching organized crime method was sophistication here first. So a whole bunch of people associated with there's a St. Anthony's Church. Now this is now, especially if they made up all that stuff about the child offenders, especially because these are people making up fake news, pretending it's about training people to deal with issues with the law. This is after they're already involved with the nature of methods bonded of abuse of each age and factory nature on off campuses maintained, from off campuses on off them in layers. How maintained, motivated, all roles is recorded. See, we have how nations are sick, individually grouped and together, because we're bonded other than we are actually. We are valuing progressively how we are bonded all through systems tactical ulterior from the one that reveals evolution and its fruits and gifts. So In other words, we have value treatments and quality of fact treatment nature of sequence nature treatments of the value of human life actually treatments that you can't defend it also at the same time. Not only that, they can't defend that and be anything but a lie, progression, cover up nature style, valuing already having been smashed and sustained the integrity of correlation nature, which would have spoke about recorded currently foreign influence zoning laws involved with the fact treatment nature slavery and torture of our founders. Fact treatment nature slavery. Now, that's not they were. This is offensive evidence racketeering roles forced everyone to maintain for self value. Uh, the real causes of negative value nature progression acts of nature is blamed all the things others themselves, like actually predicate acts, natures like criminal diseases, natures, wrongdoers, wrongdoing, mass on a mass scale. So we're going to use pantheism games and pantheism to reveal the means that they're not going to give up. They're not going to heal through taxes and through jobs associated with that. They put taxes towards jobs. Those jobs, this is involved with each identity of the ground is involved with racketeering actual. And the method that knew that these people, when they get caught, or when they see how they could get caught for already valued racketeering cases, how they're already recorded, having kept actually recorded, needing to hide the same life progressions with the criminals and their patients, and with overt criminal enterprises, and with private ones. In other words, down to their finite grouped and altogether individuals. Juxtapose misprision natures of style, all each area valuing many ways. Correlation nature, ignored as the quality of fact nature native roles, fake sides of integrity and non-integrity, of care, of fake care. It's all fake. It's all criminally foreign influence. We have a whole bunch of nations involved with this criminally also maintaining this outcome. A whole bunch of names from my town, also per them having everyone speak through other people. So now I don't know strangers, but they need to pretend I know people that I don't know. I don't even know their names, a lot of them. And like like some of them I just don't even remember because it was weird. They do this specifically. They facilitate people into jobs criminally foreign influence because we already had criminally foreign influence uses, racketeering uses of each identity, the ground location relationship. So the same people involved with the racketeering acts and names and families involved with the corner of Church Street and Old Weathersfield Main Street with the Weathersfield Police and with courts. These are people also criminal uses of other campuses and of CCSU. Each age of fact should be nature campus through time with the same ones, the same crime methods, same criminal uses of their roles with the corners of that street. Now, these are people crimes with Russians, criminal uses of town offices, of elections, and of mayors, of their roles with racketeering with the Justice Department, with Washington, D.C. For example, they had a ropes program. I was never in it, but they wanted to put me in that with people that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved what they say and pretend to be against in four positions that they know that they're already recorded actually against. In other words, they're already involved with racketeering with New Britain Superior Court. People who pretended other, like they're victims advocates. They have victims advocates involved with railroading people, whereas how they get caught, where they're already involved with racketeering with that is on off the state prison offices, on off the state judicial branch offices. Former director of the FBI down, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on RICO law, Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. Now, that was with the transition from ACA to RICO recorded having been criminally foreign influence too. and with what they call the Patriot Act, recorded and involved for breaching organized crime uses originally and still. For example, even in relationship to our American history, again, don't forget the zoning laws involved with this conversation, because this is a science of the identity of the ground tied to our active the body of value discernment progressive, and these are identity theft racketeering roles with a whole bunch of people associated with the building next to the St. Anthony's, that church. Now these are people, a whole bunch of people with the Department of Motor Vehicles, police forms associated with them, and on and off CCSU, directly and indirectly, with a whole bunch of people associated with the Phil Colo and with this Kerr family, and them with racketeering roles on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU with a whole bunch of other nations. Now this is tied to their roles with police forms on off interbranch racketeering. They already had racketeering with all kinds of cases through time. They're only capable of being and hiding their actually recorded racketeering natures. Now, see, because methods pretending it's only because they have the right to be racketeering because they're undercover or whatever. These are interbranch racketeering with evidences, perjury crime acts, in cases, uses of gavels and of natures of gun crime roles, forced involved with all other natures of crimes. These are women experts on people who get hurt by sexual crimes that are involved with child sex offenders cliques with their family members also involved further with racketeering, especially if that's fake. Now these are all people involved with cliques in my area, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with untimely deaths criminally, and the ties to them intercities. They also used Saudi people I know attach to them crime methods where they just attach everyone. They don't care here or there because they just want to do business. In relation, they have wars and things like that used to maintain them. That's why the beginning of the Old Testament, the beginning of the Quran, are never let demonstrated value. You're not allowed to protract what they're about, which is about science. They're forcing convictions, they're forcing religion be interpreted out of sequence as criminal and seditious natures, as they're really set up to demonstrate us. They knew that the stewards of religions would be forced each position of the fact-keeping nature. Even kings, don't have free speech because we have states and areas self-valuing how we're grouped, not by how we're grouped naturally by nature, and its value progression perfect. Yin yang only fills. They're valuing, and see, value has a course about identity. We can't have standing identity racketeering using the identity of the grounds, relationships to groups maintained, sensibilities maintain roles with originally still stayed needs to hide their actually recorded natures. Their actually recorded needs to hide live progressions, finite active sequence shift racketeering acts in cases with evidences treatments, offensive evidence fabrication, racketeering roles, not just pretended, not just legal, legitimate. The Wethersfield Pizza is involved with this, with fake news crime acts that they're pretending is just legitimate. These are people with wire crimes, mail crime roles, all the way down the street. Then the state judicial branch offices, on and off that, a whole bunch of people involved with racketeering, actual acts, extortion acts, mail crime acts roles, wire crime acts roles, all crimes with child sex offender, a whole bunch of people tied to Anna Dillon, Kevin Dillon, Sean Dillon, foreign and domestic military, on off, a whole bunch of people next tied to a Victorian house on Two Rod Highway, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with racketeering with medical corruption and with this Phil Colo. And there's a Spada family. They're trying. They're forcing. Then they use these names. Now you have people associated with FBI and with various natures of courts and their family members long already facilitated to racketeering acts with evidences, sequence shifts as whole groups because they use their roles with drug dealing. These are other uses of their roles with a whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated tied to this. Then they had the same boyfriends at the same time. One of them. In other words, now I have to talk about a woman. I look like an asshole. You know what I'm saying? But this is involved with child offenders and police forms forging and switching names and preventing me means to counter. If you call up the school, they recorded, confessed, and demonstrated they're coached to pretend sensibilities. They're influenced too. In other words, they're not letting me have anything on writing too, because there are female judges involved with the child offenders and crime methods and acts for sustained. This is force sustained through families. This force is effectively making family members that don't even like each other, have to fight because or just ignore each other because of the racketeering that is actual racketeering that is exploiting what is pretended legitimate undercover positions, which are sensibility natures involved with racketeering from former director of the FBI down, foreign and domestic military, whole bunch of natures of private criminal enterprises originally. Still, you can't value that and not be a standing criminal system. You can't stand now. Sequence true. Inherent, active, and progressive. That's why they're not following. They can't stand mandated law. They have state police through time involved with crimes with forensics locations. The same house slash S. A Ray Clough came in when I was in fourth grade. He was he was recorded, confessed, and demonstrated already involved with racketeering associated with the O'Brien family. Racketeering with evidences, offensive evidence reception crimes, but then with the overt criminal enterprises. Crime rolls with the same child offender principal campus on off it through time with people with the corners. They're also ducking behind how they have Russians involved with them, intercities involved with federal crimes, other nations. So they're also ducking between that because what we're debating shows a whole bunch of nations that have been pretending things because they're shared policing of the stores, but they've been using identity of locations, even the identity of each branch of government for racketeering actual as tools actually maintaining states and areas with the overt criminal enterprises. Also victim predators, even less worse than them, even though they're more psycho. Because why? See, now this is right around Fox Connecticut News. Also has Nipsey Hussle portrait. Also has their building looking down on exploited areas of Hartford through time. I just remind, not far from there. I drive by one day. I couldn't believe it. This was through time too. A whole bunch of people try to walk up to you and they, what do you about? I don't know if it was heroin or what like that. They have these kids set up worse than entrapment. They know they can't sustain free speech, so they're offensively valuing what is set up to make everyone for a whole bunch of different motivations, natures, needs, and interests, blaming what really values the real causes of negative value, nature, progression, acts, natures, and areas, especially with a lot of shootings, blame the other things others themselves. They have physical delusions raw intersciences. So now we have communications with the media involved with racketeering that came through generations. And then it came through DACA. See, but none of those people, in other words, DACA started off at like 1/16th a share. And then it was like that. I don't know if that's connected. But in other words, and I don't want to play with that because this is tied to a torture method. This is tied to a value nature system that again you can't defend, and also at the same time because we have the value treatments, we have identities of law, criminally foreign influence originally instilled. We have that how exploited. Now they're using the crime method of pretending legitimate written rights to get away with fake news and shared training of nations on off CCSU. Those nations are involved with crimes when crime methods where everyone's facilitated to roles keeping lie progressions valued, covered up. And those lie progressions are involved with other natures, another method nature of organized crime against everyone, keeping each age of fact treating nature recorded how motivated, needing to, and valuing obfuscated correlation nature's trinity and its value, which is further positive or negative. This is positive actual course by science using what is true always, not denying exceptions, not valuing them denied. This tells our American history. See, but we need free speech. WFSB and CCSU, I mean CNN, and Fox Connecticut News. So they recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that their victims, you know, they're not going to tell the news if it's not fit to what their exploitation already of former FBI Director Robert Luskin down and people tied to them involved with sequence racketeering, database racketeering, worse than election crimes. They use the topic, the value of election crimes, to make opinions around that while they're measuring and maintaining roles, preventing mandated law demonstration of such racketeering. So regardless of what it's called, ACA, RICO, Patriot Act, regardless of what things, originally and still we had formal legal natures obligated to be able to counter predicate acts, the real causes of them, able to counter offensive evidence racketeering using color, using it still. Physical delusions maintain self-value not by accident. This is a recorded whole bunch of people associated with on off Hartford Hospital, on off other hospital locations I was never even at. In other words, these systems are maintained roles also. Please, they're keeping the identities of law, maintain self-value, criminal foreign influence delusions raw, methodically. These are people recorded and confessed from the other side of the bridge, where there's no in Glastonbury, across the bridge. Now we're in Wethersfield. There's a house right there, Oliveri family. These are some of the people involved with the AT&T and with the mail crimes, roles with the former director of the FBI, a whole bunch of natures of federal criminals, especially if made up. In other words, especially if they're undercover, because it doesn't matter, because there are a whole bunch of other nations also with the private racketeering and with the overt criminal enterprises, with actors with finite, active, and progressive, and sequence shifts and identity thefts and identity frauds and worse together. This is a whole bunch of people when I was in high school confessed, demonstrated, and recording that people associated on off CCSU and confirmed that people on off CCSU were involved with racketeering with databases, with exploitation of distances where people are going to walk in relationship to database tied relationships, identity of the ground. And then from there, it gets consolidated further. In other words, this is how they're keeping. They used Wethersfield Police Department since before our police chief standing now involved racketeering then and now with the same house /S that is involved. Also, there's a Tara Phelps, and there's a Phelps police family that will record, confessed, and demonstrated involved also. That's a Newington. Now these are people involved with racketeering with spots on Church Street in Old Wethersfield and on the corner there. And then all the way up to through Wethersfield, spots on corners there. Businesses and houses. Samuel Dick's house. Right, right, and house around the corner, like a Yagman family involved with all punch and racketeering with medical families, foreign and domestic. Offensively, uses of Facebook, like pretending to be against such because their roles with offensive evidence fabrication, racketeering with various natures of agencies, not just the FBI director down, recorded sequence shifts, racketeering with election locations with them, right through administrations. They didn't let this toll. These are racketeering roles with the investigators of police that did wrong, involve racketeering roles too. Crime methods, pretending that legitimate undercover and training of shared policing sick is only that. So and they have locations in Cromwell that where they have the whole locations involved with Justice Department racket, a whole bunch of people involved with New Britain Superior Court, on off the state judicial branch already criminally. Now these are also families, men and women, a whole bunch of them tied to them. So then they maintain quantitative, pretended legitimate that way. This is originally still part of the racketeering that used color, preventing free speech, preventing counters to torture, preventing counters to extortion, preventing counters to what slavery is really about, which is identity thefts, coupled with torture, sustained coupled with fake care, coupled with and as uses of the standing pseudo-positive natures of logic as criminal insidious nature, distinct from logic since some ancient times. This is distinct from logic without criminal foreign influences, especially legalized ones. See, so we have all we have to do is admit real science, and you reveal not only do we have not have enough means for, but a lot of the natures of means are worse. So in other words, all we have to do is admit that this is tactically denatured war position. Worse than war position. Every modern nation is at the same time by the same organized crime method. All we have to do is counter, which is fact treatment nature racketeering. Free speech is not allowed protraction. Ratiocination's value is not led discerned. Logic's value is not led discerned because we have that, especially with the interbranch individual grouped and together racketeering methods distinctly the Weathersfield police individually grouped and together. They forge names, switch names. That's also a method and roles with that they do with the judicial branch. They have tremendous police involved with this. They have a whole bunch of nations, other nations involved with racketeering, like Italy. A whole bunch of people with the same house. Then my new and past neighbors are also involved with these, with the O'Brien family and the Clough family. And again, they have the Clough family is associated with extended family members with the same and different names that are involved with identity thefts, all kinds of natures of crimes, pretending they use crime methods, pretending things into cases, even ones when you're not there. Like Ray Clough recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, confirmed he was involved with pretending illusions into cases with people, a whole bunch of people on off CCSU, on off Trinity College involved with him with racketeering, with databases. Their friends growing up, in other words, I barely know, and not at all that are pretending other, and with his extended family members. And these are people who recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts, roles with federal crimes, overt criminal enterprises, criminal uses of the witness protection program with federal criminal co-defendants and their family members associated with former director of the FBI, all the way down. Then leading up to the Trade Center attack, leading up to a Washington case, part of it, leading up to a 2006 case after the proven sequence shift, post-dated documents had been shown to the panel of judges in the Ninth Circuit right before the Trade Center attack. That proven led to former Director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, in a 2006 district case. Leading up to and in that case too, a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court, a whole bunch of people with racketeering on off the state judicial branch were already confessed and demonstrated involved criminally with the trade center contacts racketeering further in out of the courts, with the investigators also further involved with racketeering since, like predicate acts, mail crimes, wire crimes, falsified police reports. That again comes back to how the branches are recorded individually, racketeering natures, grouped racketeering natures, and together. This is also how they have the mayors involved with, like job three. They have, oh, let's make the ropes program for the kids, and we'll counter this. These are roles with child abuse. They unite that all they have to do is sustain it, per how they have the fake sides, just maintaining criminal uses of the ground together. So over that, I believe it's called the Putnam Bridge. Now we're coming to Weathersfield from Glastonbury. Now there's a Scalora family, a whole bunch of people associated with a Pandolf family with Glastonbury, what they call intelligence community. These are racketeering roles and physical delusions, maintain self-value, criminally foreign influenced natures of volume as criminal decisions. Nature is nothing personal. I don't even know them. All exceptions are recorded criminally foreign involved with offensive evidence perception crimes, consciously, actually recorded. See, they know that they pretend things into cases. They had things pretended into cases in the background criminally. And all more and more they're valuing how they could just pretend that was just undercover lies that are our right to do. But they're forging names, switching names, and preventing counters to this. Is worse than extortion. This is worse than just identity thefts, identity fraud, property rights fraud. A whole bunch of people. These are a whole bunch of people with the educational department with CCSU is involved already, having been facilitated to the whole bunch of people involved with Justice Department, Washington D.C. Corruption with campuses in my town further. See, but we have all clowns that can't speak now. A whole bunch of people associated with two Mendez police crimes, Weathersfield Police Department, New Britain Superior Court, inside, outside of the court, pretended to perceive things. They pretend to perceive things because these are offensive evidence perception predators because they were racketeering with them since I was a kid, attaching me to fake locations with them, fake, fake, fake locations with people tied to them involved with racketeering when I was a kid. I had no class with Eric Mendez, with Ginito Mendez. These are awesome people. A whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved crimes with a Leahy family, and with the Lombardo family, and with foreign and domestic families involved with medical locations, natures of jobs associated with that, nursing clinics and stuff like that. People associated crimes with locations at the end of the Brown Turnpike and leading up to that. We're involved with the identity theft, identity racketeering, with the Weathersfield Police Chief's foreign and domestic family, with the people that use the uses of the identity of the ground, where they have people pretend they had conversations with before they go in there, because those are the people tied to the sequence shifts in cases, racketeering acts in cases, racketeering methods recorded in cases. They're preventing mandated law because this is already recorded. They're already recorded using right to lie criminally by pretending things recorded into databases that they recorded have to hide from presidents, especially if they're right next to them. This is what prevented Barack Obama free speech, our president, more importantly, our chief. And POTUS was never let value. The individual, in other words, no, all three. The individual nature of volume is not let free speech, not let up quality or do a fact cheating nature do anything but value what the branches were forced to self value, tricked, hurt, and worse. Self value as standing criminal decisions nature sustain can't sustain what answers really questions properly. So they have also recorded and confessed and demonstrated a whole bunch of nations like Russia involved with racketeering with the method of pretending, that's keeping police forms of online platforms, and they use value nature systems where we don't have enough jobs, and we don't have jobs worth people, especially playing that game, pretending I'll get a job. Where? and especially with people stacking. Your people stack because there's an organized crime method against you, and that needs you to keep walking for nothing. Where they're gonna give up. That's not worth one person. There's not one person alive that could pay enough this way. So we have a value nature system that's criminally foreign influence. That's logic. That's true always, not denying exceptions. That's tied to actual the proofs of it, which are not we're not let free speech because we have all that associated with interdepartments, intertypes of experts, like associated with briefing the media. Because what when people are talking about reality, this is also mixed in with a whole bunch of fakes, undercover, child abused, child abuse that only saw natures of theater, natures of humor, that already to each spot involved with what's gonna keep hiding the lie progressions for the people involved with criminal uses of the systems, because they have criminal uses of the system of sophistication since before those systems were sophistication. And as they could never be sophistication to defend their roles with this, same time, and defend what exploits this through fake sides. There were also, so these are victim predator nations like Cuba. Why they're on the middle of the ocean. So why should they have to conform to zoning laws criminally foreign influenced? We have a pathology with psychology, a whole bunch of fake sides. See, now they value fake sides. They value the real cause of negative value nature progressions, action nature, blame the other things other than themselves. They value pretending and needing to pretend, even offensively, that they believe someone's prejudiced and or they're against prejudice. Nonsense. We're not using real sequence. We're not using real identity of the ground, criminal uses of it, criminal uses of white people, white hate groups, and black inclusion. That's recorded interbranch racketeering, military, criminally foreign influence. Whole bunch of people with that land behind Two Rod Highway. Whole bunch of people recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with the policing of Lowe's, the policing of um the other place like that, the Home Depot, involved with these people involved with the child offenders. These are also on and off the Yale, on and off the New Haven FBI roles with people involved with AT&T. Like a whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Sparta family, and I don't know their names of all the men tied to them, but they have a lot of boyfriends and stuff like that involved with a DeMoro family, a Kerr family, and a schedule family, and others I don't know the names of next to this DeMoro family and next to this Kerr family. And these are people also involved with on off church spots, on off Maple Street from that over the bridge now. That then we have a Joshua Stryker also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the mail crime collection, with the policing of these locations, because they were involved with other methods and natures of racketeering, where a whole bunch of people value experts on logic and things like that are involved with racketeering. So they can't be experts on logic, because logic needs to make sustained positives, full, complete identity discerned through negative distinctly from criminal seditious nature, especially criminally legalized criminal seditious nature. So we also have recorded uses of the mural of Nipsey Hussle involved with racketeering, where everyone's not realizing how that identity of the ground location right below the Fox Connecticut News building is involved with interbranch racketeering that led up to and in the trade center attacks context criminally. Already having been with intercities, crimes with databases, tied to crimes in cases, tied to live progressions from those spots and criminal uses of people where the branches distinctly and non-distinctly from the same from roles with the same thing, and where everyone else that's associated with them and their influences also have distinctly and non-distinctly the same overt criminal enterprises, having kept excuse me, having kept and keeping them needing to use how they use criminal identities of the ground locations, like those locations all the way from across the bridge now in Weathersfield, the house right at the end of the bridge, the Oliveri family associated. And then we come to the state judicial branch offices on off it, involved with racketeering acts actual in and out of cases, and with news involved with racketeering that is actual racketeering, because they're hiding live progressions from the racketeering acts and cases already. They already used the weapons of guns and of gavels and of their databases into branch and of their mouths with verbal federal crimes. Their actual natures were already used criminally, so they can't follow the law now. They need to pretend that I'm trying to speak about things other than trying to speak about, which is actual sequence shifts, which is the actual uses of them, roles with them, which also is recorded, effectively having painted themselves into corners, stacking names of people I don't know, pretending other. And even they have people speak people's names so you don't know them, but then you'll say you know them, like a Janito Mendez. I've never had one verbal conversation with him in my life. He's recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with the Weathersfield Police Department, police forms, retired and standing, involved with racketeering with kids, acts, with databases, with drugs with the kids, with crimes with the courts, involved with the drugs with their family members, involved with the policing of the schools, using that, attaching people to fake locations, spreading lies and rumors, using where they're going to walk in relationship to that database thing to have time. Everyone thinks they know each other. Everyone thinks that everyone's attached to statements and to things that aren't even real. Pretended perception in relationship to those things that aren't even real. Originally and still. So then we on off the state judicial branch offices. Now remember, on off the state prison offices already are involved with them, with the same people with crimes, intercampus of each age already, database crimes, all different natures of male crime roles. And these are people with criminal uses of the corners of streets. One way repeats. So these are also people, that are pretending to know you, they pretend that to perceive things, but they can't do it on paper, so they're forging names and switching names in their branch, including all those tied to the judges involved with this. They're involved. That's why they're recorded. Their natures are needing to be hid by valuing and having valued child offenders of all juxtaposed natures, by them spreading rumors through kids through time with the same ones, pretending that it's legitimate because they're undercover roles with racketeering actual, but they're actually actual racketeering acts, natures, and roles. Uses of the people with the corners of the streets, with the schools involved, connected. These are the ones in Weathersfield, all the schools recorded involved with racketeering, also intercities. These are also people, the same ones involved with this are involved with crimes further. Now we come up to Weathersfield Pizza, come up the same road there too. Involved a whole bunch of people involved with racketeering acts and identity thefts and database crimes and drug crime roles on off CCSU, on off Trinity College, facilitated, connected. Facilitated, then covered up, because then these are people speaking with investigators offensively, pretending things as their roles with racketeering that is in cases with prosecutors originally still worse than most serial killers, which they're also recorded involved with reported serial killers personally, criminally, with the criminal uses of the identity of the ground locations where they put the bodies. These are also the people that were involved with the federal crimes with my campus when I was a kid. My campus is. These are live progressions from when I was at this. There's a principal child defender there now who has a principal when I used to be there, has a daughter there now. Now her former boyfriend and the new one is involved with all kinds of medical cliques and overt criminal enterprises, drug crime, racketeering, crime acts with a whole bunch of drug cliques into branch. Now these are people pretending to be against it. These are doctors involved with drug crimes because they have methods like of forcing either problems or they're gonna hurt you other ways if you don't react. In other words, with the natures of gun crimes, bug spray crimes, these are also their roles with methods of keeping the stewards of needs to keep safety and stuff like that, with all the elements with hospitals and stuff like that, needed to keep them criminally foreign influenced. Roles with other methods and natures of crime that are keeping really what keeps nuclear bombs the solution. Pretended positive while where we have it in Russia and here, for example, self-value recorded involved with the torture and slavery of our founders, tactically denatured relationship to nature, zoning laws, criminally foreign influenced, roles with all this shared policing, a whole bunch of people from Puerto Rico involved with criminal justice racketeering, with Weathersfield Police, intercities, uses of their locations, identity of the ground, uses of culture, physical, with their narratives, as roles with racketeering that is intercampuses of each age. We have a whole bunch of pseudo-positive physical delusions, criminally foreign influence, opinion natures lied to, and lied to by what is involved with simultaneously involved with elections racketeering while it's pretending to be against it. And all the jobs raised into the FBI, valuing how you're supposed to defend an identity of integrity because in relationship to other nations, well, we dispute at the Trade Center Agreement level their nation's equivalents. That is involved with the racketeering. So now we have all fake. So then when you go up a little further, we have Weathersfield Pizza with a Steven Stocco, with a Maria Vizino, a whole bunch of her boyfriends, and a whole bunch of people, the friends of Steven Stocco involved with racketeering acts, roles with the people in cases, with a whole bunch of people on and off CCSU involved with them, foreign and domestic military involved with them criminally, how facilitated to it, how they have everyone speaking through others, how that's involved with a whole bunch of people associated with my new and past neighbors, with a Kevin Dillon, Anna Dillon, and a Sean Dillon confirmed and confessed and demonstrating involved. I never had one physical conversation with him, but I have affidavits, and he's recorded involved with a pattern of racketeering with kids through time, with the people involved with downtown Hartford locations. They said a guy named Sharky's place, that building also. People that were involved with the ownership of a Club Blue, and they're recorded to confess to demonstrate a whole bunch of houses on and off Two Route Highway that are involved with like intelligence community that is involved with racketeering, with databases, even with forensics locations, and with various natures of police forms, retired and standing interbranch. So police doesn't just mean executive branch. And that doesn't just mean former director of FBI down. This means other agencies and their family members also recorded with pattern with the racketeering. They also use Facebook through time. They're also using Facebook for that now for election crimes to hide how they have recorded effectively criminally maintained identity of the ground locations like the FBI in New Haven, like women. They can't defend their value. They can't defend, men can't defend them. They should all just give the bricks. See a meme on Twitter. They want to fight like as nature. They're all sequence shift predators. They want to have what Interbranch says is men and women criminally foreign influenced. Answer, because they're the nature of the victim they are, the victim predator. Same way the overt criminal enterprises are. They never had a chance because intercampuses is a racketeering method. And now we need free speech. We need mandated law. There's a Paul Vance recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved crimes with judges that prevent writing and they forge names, switch names, and they're stacking federal crimes into databases because they're hiding life progressions for what is Washington, D.C. Pentagon intimately tied to the presidents, to the Justice Department, criminally racketeering used as a tool to keep interstates criminally foreign influenced fact cheating nature, self-valuing, identity of the ground relationships, all forced fake self-value with a fake. Everyone, formal originally and still. Now, all the styles pretending of opinions pretending other are offensively preventing the recorded actual truths and evidences, which are sequence shifts, which are offensive racketeering acts, uses of Facebook, for example, by the various natures of courts involved with crimes with child offenders, especially if made up. No, because that was sustained too. And I'm speaking about the specific acts. And those acts, when they want to pretend in the background things because there were acts before that criminally involved. This never went away with the same people that were involved with database racketeering when I was with the same grammar school. These are a whole bunch of methods of crime and natures of crimes with kids, not just sexual, not just medical. These are people attaching me to fake locations. They already did. WFSB attached me to fake locations as a kid and to fake diagnosis as a kid and to fake relationships to doctors as a kid. Because there's a whole bunch of people tied to a Leahy family that was involved with racketeering with a whole bunch of people from the former director, the FBI down. Other agencies recorded mail crime predicate acts with him, medical crime acts with them, forging names, switching names. Various natures of courts and judges recorded delusions, raw and criminally influenced natures, crime act methods and natures. They have to hide now from reality. So they're forging names and switching names, preventing counters, preventing responses written while they sustain this. They have a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of names stacking, recorded effectively. They're forcing those names into be needed used. I don't even know their names. Associated with those clubs downtown Hartford, associated with the policing of them, associated with the people begging for money next to it. All racketeering roles with our agencies and their family members involved with the child offending roles. Now they say they have things that are legal for them to do, but they're not. Now, so these are perjury racketeering acts and methods recorded and natures recorded, uses of Facebook for that, with Russians involved with them also with the crimes with the many names tied to the houses in my area. That I never saw them in my area. I never had a conversation with them, but they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated about all the people tied to them and their family members involved further with child offenders. Foreign and domestic psychology, people involved with Justice Department, shared policing, and then investigations into things that happen. They're already racketeering with what happened. Roles. They have a whole bunch of people now. We go Weathersfield Pizza. They're involved. A whole bunch of people with the rest of the people involved on off CCSU, on off Trinity College, with the racketeering and the state stream of confessions intercity. Because now they expand what you have to tell on. now they expand the natures of impositions upon you and upon other people. Logistical impositions, no, because these are also logistical places where logistics involved. They also keep, these are other natures, a whole bunch of natures and methods of racketeering with elections, with human sensibilities, fact cheaping nature. We need to be able to counter, record it. A whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court involved with the crime method through time of stacking names, where they know they're stacking names and pretending people are liars because they already pretended conversations with me. They already pretended to perceive things as interbranch racketeering nature since they were little kids, used by their parents for such, as is recorded going on now by the same ones involved with that, like a Joshua Julian, were further involved with the family of Phil Clow, also recorded, confessed, involved all natures of formal and of overt gangs, drugs, crime rolls, identity theft, crime rolls, lying with overt, spreading lies with a whole bunch of police forms like Mendez police, involved with medical offenders with kids, even sexual, even medical, even fake news, crime acts, whole bunch of people with them on off Fox Connecticut News. So they have the portraits they put up. They have they have a little skate park right under the little spying eye of Fox Connecticut News, looking where they can put lies attached to truths, look where they can make whole truths pretended valued by the branches to maintain criminally foreign influence. Streams of courts, streams going into courts each day. Natures of gun crimes, where they have sick fake punks. So you need to have these the Domain brothers hiding behind guns. You need to have this little Kerr family hiding behind guns. Little punk tricks trying to make, of course, someone chased their car, then so they could try to shoot someone. These are real. These are people with gun crime roles, also with shooting spots and with the sales of them, with their roles, with the pattern of the shootings, with the schools tied to the racketeering with the databases, preventing actual things that would have prevented crimes from being reported, and then the news also has like all the reports when they report on things that happen with kids, like a kid that got they said a kid got robbed at his bus stop. Now, especially if that was made up, that's recorded involved with child offender clicks on off the Samuel Dick's house, and as the ones intercampuses connected with federal crimes and with evidences. Former director of the FBI down, a whole bunch of federal criminals, overt criminal enterprises, criminal uses of the witness protection program recorded through the same house/S through time. I just remind. Now they recorded, won't let me report the sequence shifts and the federal crime methods of the judges forging and switching names. Of the state's attorneys recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved forging, switching names, faking things into databases, falsified police reports, attaching little kids and adults and their family members to fake locations, using the right to lie and all the racketeering they have involved with on-off locations intercity like West Hartford, Rocky Hill, Weathersfield, involved with on-off shared policing of stores and things like that, involved with the racketeering acts on-off CCSU in cases on in out of New Britain Superior Court, leading up to the 2006 case, leading up to the Trade Center attack context, leading up to a Washington case, part of a case. The same ones involve crimes against me, crimes against a whole bunch of other people. They also have involved the sensibilities of people with that, with the racketeering, where they think, you have to see the natures of gun crimes where they're preventing free speech. Now we have people with guns and their solutions to shooting people, the police and the courts that are involved with the racketeering, especially regarding the distinct and non-distinct relationship of the political families involved. Whole bunch of people involved with identity thefts acting through time that's connected with downtown Hartford, with the locations around Fox CET, as the people involved with the racketeering with the locations around WFSB. Now, this is also the Weathersfield Police Chief's family, foreign and domestic, involved with crimes with an Altamoda hair salon, and with the gas station across the street, and where the Starbucks went out where they're reportedly going to put in a new bakery, the Mazzucato, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with them, with these DACA collects, with deans, with criminal uses of campuses through time, crimes with judges with them, with their kids used for racketeering with the kid, a whole bunch of people involved with John Maiano, involved with a whole bunch of natures of racketeering with FBI and with judges, New Britain Superior Court collects. So they stack a whole bunch of names and they use the crime method of pretending not to understand people criminally outside of court. These are election crime methods. These are roles with mayors through time. They're all victims going for identity the jobs, indifferent to racketeering that originally instilled kept and keeps each identity of nations legal identities incapable of defending their types of expertise in us at the same time with their logic. They can't follow a logic course that's not criminally foreign influence. All the revelations right here. C means appear. So we have Nipsey Hussle involved with racketeering that's also intercultural with prison leaderships and with the training of them with like CCSU. They also use the identity of the ground locations to maintain them involved with crime methods and with offensive reception, and then having them quote and pretend that leave things out that they know are critical there, like on and off CCSU with the foreign and domestic, with Asian families associated with the policing of the gas station right next to McDonald's, policing of the McDonald's on and off locations. The same ones on and off location CCSU involved Justice Department racketeering that is maintained again through Wesleyan University. I didn't even go there. There are a whole bunch of people involved with them criminally, with people that live there, with the courts involved criminally, with the military involved, and with a whole bunch of people tied to this Phil Clow involved further with child sex offenders and medical corruption, with his other extended family members of the house in my area involved with this, further with the principal sex offenders campus, with further judges, states attorneys, and uses of things like DACA through time involved, where they're pretending like they're no words. Then we'll come up this road further, that corner there. Okay, we'll come. I want to make the streets right. I want because these are also the people involved with that pattern on from Glastonbury to Cromwell on Maple Street, involved with racketeering together. That is tied. Those are also people that are involved with racketeering with the corner of Church Street and Main Street in Old Weathersfield, straight up to CCSU with racketeering with houses along there. Racketeering revolved with identity thefts, identity fraud, sequence shifts, all natures of Justice Department corruption, criminal uses of all the legal natures and the identity uses of like Coast Guard. Anything that's positive, especially something that's positive all the way, like some service that will people sacrifice, but then they make them it's not all the way because they keep it just a job, a negotiation for that, pretend to not realize logic that you can't defend as the Constitution is abridged. People put like how people think is disgusting. How we have people that pretend that their leadership, that positive has been let free speech. So we have them recorded with racketeering with the media. They have people that are supposed to brief them on how to react to things because we have undercover that they need to share originally and still for what is legitimate. They say and think, but it's recorded not legitimate. So we need free speech to demonstrate this. So we have a man named Paul Vance recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with database racketeering and with offensive evidence reception crimes and racketeering on off campuses of each age, and his involvements with the transition from ACA to RICO people involved with that, with former director of the FBI down, criminal uses of job sites, criminal uses of people associated with a Spada family and Walter's family with Justice Department records, interstates, worse with AT&T, with crime methods using AT&T, like with cellular phones. I mean, a cordless phone. Crime methods. All of a sudden, you hear someone else tied. Now, these are also people in criminal roles with like this person's. These are victims, but these are, in other words, these are making victim predators. They need me to speak about, use other people's name because they use them criminally. I need a response for the judges and for the former director of the FBI, because these are it's their associations with the houses in my area involved with them being used criminally. Now they're preventing free speech and calm means to counter their roles with violence. That's why not to, and then they're pretending to be against that, which is actually recorded. They're using cheap things like pretending that they're, the statutes say they're supposed to share what they have, share police. You're not supposed to hide the racketeering with that. You're not supposed to pretend that's this fake racketeering. We didn't realize we were racketeering with cases already through time. These are real value treatments. These are real people and people stacking. And what is left, criminally foreign influence involved with the torture of our founders, zoning laws, relationship to means, worse than criminally foreign influence. Get down. Fake branches down. I'll gather around. CT, you cherry tree. Especially if George Washington made that up or not. He had to leave overt slavery in Wethersfield/Hartford with the same families involved now through time. Also, with this Enzo Fienzo. Other men and women on and off the state judicial branch offices, criminal uses of those people with wire crimes, mail crime roles, database racketeering crime roles, sequence shift crime roles. Again, we're going to follow that right up to Cromwell, because they have a whole bunch of there's a club in Cromwell associated with the Brian Silver that is with a whole bunch of attorneys, long standing, like prosecutors, long standing, their family members involved with judges and retired and standing, their police forms, other natures of police forms, training people, intercities, roles with a whole bunch of people with the forensics labs, intercities tied to that too. With all tied to the house in my area /S, involved with the racketeering. In the past, also with the further of Bob Chase, a whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated federal crimes with their extended family members, with children. These are foreign and domestic medical families involved with crimes with the overt criminal enterprises, other natures of crimes, databases. They know what they're using, the reactions of boys and girls, everyone speaking through others in a criminal way, when they're only going to see each other in a moment. They know they're not going to talk. So they lock in illusions that they exploit through time. I just remind. Then they exploited that with racketeering before I went there and not at each of the college campuses I went to. Now, so they're forging names and switching names, crime methods. So you just can't defend yourself peacefully because there's no one to get a response from. There's also the lawyer, former director of the FBI's lawyer, Robert Chevrolet. Robert Luskin is the former director. No, also recorded involved with racketeering through sequence shifts, roles, and uses of Comey and Mueller by CCSU and by Trinity College Connected Intelligence Community, foreign and domestic, involved with like South Korea, North Korea, because they have roles with locations on off the Wethersfield Police, on off the state judicial branch, off the state prison offices, involved with racketeering, like with foreign and domestic military, like with associated with a Taekwondo place near there, who are involved with database racketeering with them. Crimes and cases that are also from outside of the cases, but as roles in out of cases with offensive evidence perception predators in the background, in collusion with the racketeering that's preventing writing and on paper. These are also men and women that are involved further with the child offenders in Wethersfield, how they have the mayors retired and standing, other natures of police forms and of interbranch on off locations with hills, like with Town Line Drive, and with the people next to the Samuel Dick's house, like with this with this the Pandolf brothers. There's like three or four brothers, and parents, and they're also involved in New Britain with and Hartford clicks with junkyards. These are Justice Department racketeering, our intermilitary racketeering roles. Also, VA people involved with military, police, foreign, and domestic with racketeering acts like predicate acts with mail crimes, forging names, switching names, falsified police reports, crimes with the state forensic, the state drug task force. That was is all kinds of natures of federal crimes with drugs, overt and formal, and criminal uses of statutes, whether and of crime methods of preventing free speech, while they're staying offensive predators into branch originally and still and have already needed to. They're recorded how kept needing to hide the same finite grouped and together libel aggressions with people with houses, uses of houses on off the state prison offices, on off the state judicial branch offices, with a whole bunch of people in my area, for retired and standing, other police forms too. Don't make us beg. So they want to put something in paper because they're forging names, switching names. They arrest you if you try to use regular logic and about they're actually recorded crime acts. They also recorded uses of Facebook for sexual harassment of the youngest girls, and they're spreading lies through the kids with overt criminal enterprises, with the interbranch and with the prison cliques tied to them, and with the Confederate flag theme and the Puerto Rican flag theme, Italian theme, flag theme, Cuban flag theme, people involved with Justice Department rackets, people involved with racketeering on off Hartford Hospital's campus of a whole bunch of different natures. People racketeering on off that also including the Institute of Living, instituted in 1822, no, with slavery still in Hartford and in the North, right where George Washington had to leave it right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, because he was a factory nature slave without free speech, but to an extent, and it was all you're at war because that was the only thing that's maintained as a needed value by the breaching organized crime after here needed to hide its factory nature racketeering roles, needed to value pseudo positive identity never liberated. This needed to value worse than obfuscated what really led us into World War I, which was inclusion there and here, where it counts. So a whole bunch of people, they stacking names in the background, pretending things real hard because former director of the FBI down, other agencies and their family members, judges, their family members. They already did all kinds of natures of racketeering uses of the identity of the ground on off the media locations, on off the campuses of each age connected. They already had criminal uses of their life progressions for that. That's what motivated their roles for their roles with further trade center predicate acts and with the investigators of it. They investigate things where where there are problems, even especially if those investigations are made up, like with the state forensics lab, like with state police. They're recorded in collusion with racketeering acts, methods, and natures, even with their family involved criminally. How maintain that's used by the outcome because a whole bunch of nations are doing the same thing there and here, using the identities forced to value pseudo positive peace in relationship to unfathomably not science, like nuclear weapons. Just every just to explain acceptation nature and exceptions, where and as and how. Some in the words. We're threatening and counter threatening identities of nations that aren't even united to care about the threat. You understand what I'm saying? It's worse. We need free speech. Why do you guys have to make it worse? Why don't you just get who denies it into branch? They have my new and past neighbors also involved with this, foreign and domestic, with my Weathersfield police chief, a whole bunch of people with Italy, with overt criminal enterprises, with his daughter's roles with this Mazzucato family, with identity thefts, with racketeering with Facebook, with the interbranch roles with child sex offenders, uses of Facebook to pretend to perceive things when people are talking so they can pretend that in the background, never letting anything in writing. The same networks recorded pretending to be against such. They're pretending that they think the rules are being followed and were through time. They know they weren't. They know that every exception was criminally exploited. They know that a whole bunch of people from my town that I had nothing to do with. So that's why we have to discern the difference between pseudo semantics and semantics. The difference between pseudo rhetoric and rhetoric. We have to have the definition of what is ironic demonstrated. See, but we have logic involved with racketeering, the logic experts, and that racketeering private is in collusion with the interbranch maintained effectively recorded crime method that is a whole bunch of bonded liars roles. Then with a whole bunch of other natures of crime methods roles originally and still already having been self-evaluated. That juxtaposition and everyone blaming the all that caused by that juxtaposition on other things other than themselves. Santos elves. Aboard.